Happy Monday and welcome to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. Check out winagainacademy.com. Mark Moyer do some great things with his coaching and events. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Tami Eagle on the Wolff Den. Welcome, Tami. How are you doing?
Good, Matt. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so we have a special treat here. You're not the first Marlboro guest on the show. We had Adam Mesh, who I know you know and your families know.
Yes.
But it's always good to have someone from Marlboro on here. But for those of those in the audience who don't know you from Marlboro, just tell everyone who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into everything.
Sure. Yes, I grew up in Marlboro, class of 91, had many good years there, and then lived in the city for quite some time, and now settled in the suburbs of New Jersey with my two young children, my husband. And I've had an interesting time over the last 6 years that we can chat about. And I'm excited that I just launched my business called The Eagle Method, a motivational speaking business.
Yeah, so I actually, you know my sister well, and I got introduced to you because I probably hadn't seen you or talked to you in many, many years, but first the promotional product side that you did.
Yes.
Ticket Time Machine promotional products. Tell everyone, I guess, sort of your work journey on what you used to do and how that transitioned to promotional, and then why Eagle Method.
Right. So in high school, I think when you were asked, what do you want to do with your life when you grow up? I actually have a journal entry that says, I would like to be the publisher of Vogue. And I guess I really went for it throughout my career. I went to Penn State. And then after college, I started out as the sales assistant at Esquire magazine, which was part of Hearst magazines. And I went on to be at Hearst for 15 years and really worked on advertising and media sales at Esquire, and then moved on to Cosmopolitan and moved on to Lifetime magazine. Then I was the associate publisher at Marie Claire. And then after spending those 15 years at Hearst, I moved over to Condé Nast, where I was the associate publisher at Teen Vogue, and then also worked at Bon Appetit. So that was
close. Not exactly well, but that's pretty good. You're in high school, you say I want to do this, and you got pretty close.
Little technical difficulty there. Hold on. Yes, I did get pretty close to it. Let's see.
Were you still trying to get to that producer instead of the associate, or at that point you were like, sometimes it's not, once you start working, especially the 15 years you're in that, you kind of get in the weeds of it and you're like, I don't want to do that.
Well, exactly. I mean, I was like one step away, and I saw, what my boss did and the amount of travel involved at the time. Of course, COVID has changed everything. But yeah, it's a big commitment, but it's also really, meaningful to run brands that really influence culture and people's lives. So I was proud to work, at a number of those brands that were widely recognizable. And then after I left the city, came to New Jersey, and actually I resigned from my job to take a year off to get my kids settled. They were 2 and 4 years old, and my husband was stepping over their toys in our 2-bedroom New York City apartment. And we just said, it's time to make that move to the suburbs. And I wanted to take some time off to get the kids settled at school. And I realized that I needed a new doctor, just a primary care physician, now that I was living in New Jersey. And there's a lot of details, but the net is that I received a breast cancer diagnosis out of the blue. It was the second mammogram of my life, and it was shocking. And not only was it breast cancer, it was stage 4 breast cancer, which is considered terminal. So it was a hard pill to swallow. But here I am 6 years later, which is a miracle. And through the years, I've been dabbling in different things, some of which has been selling promotional items, which I still do and can co-brand, any item. But recently I decided to launch my own business, the Eagle Method, because I have learned tools to adapt to change and to embrace uncertainty so that each day can be meaningful. And I want to share those insights and those tools to help people overcome the challenges in their own lives.
Yeah, so a remarkable story to have you sitting here just for one. But life is so, you talk about life being about inches and seconds and choices. Just the mindset of taking a year off, which most people can't do, right? To be able to do something like that, which kind of moved into everything, and that's something that I think people need to do. Sometimes you just need to take a step back.
Yeah.
The Naomi Osaka thing. It's like, all right, look, for whatever it is, whether you need to be with your kids more, whether it's your mental health, whether it's your physical health, you're run down. Sometimes you need to do that. And how difficult of a decision was it for you to do that? Did you struggle?
It was difficult. It was difficult because I, was working 60 plus hours a week, and we had that, life. We had a full-time nanny, and I left at 7:40 in the morning, and I got home at 7 at night and was entertaining. And I had 2 young children that I wanted to spend more time with. And it, wasn't enough time to get home at 7, and they went to bed at 8. So it was a difficult decision to give up the career at that point. But when I made the decision, I thought I would be going back to it. I thought it was kind of just going to be a break to get a new normal going, and that I would go back in some capacity. And of course, with my diagnosis, that changed. But that day that I went in, I felt that, to resign, I felt that I was doing the right thing by allowing myself to, enjoy my children and help get everyone settled in a new neighborhood.
And so your thinking was help the children, get settled. I'll go back in a year. Now you get this diagnosis. What was your immediate thought for there? Do you still start planning, or do you just have to take it one day at a time? It's really, I wouldn't even know what to do with myself.
Right. Yeah, it was, nobody ever wants to hear the words, you have cancer, let alone an incurable cancer. So it was a lot to wrap my head around. And I probably cried every day, dropping my kids at, their pre-K. They weren't even in kindergarten yet.
Yeah.
Just thinking about who's going to teach them to read, and who's going to show them how to handle different things in life. And I worked really hard to say, today I am, and today I'm here. And, we need to live in the present and find gratitude every single day. And it took a while, but I got there. And now my bar for happiness is being alive. So every day I wake up excited to see what the new day brings.
Yeah, that's, it sounds so simple, right? But it's not. And
yeah,
it's just, I talk about this all the time, how something has to happen before we feel that way. And then it feels like it's momentary. Like I lost my dad 15 years ago. I always used to feel that way. And that something like that happens, and you're just like, I really have to live my life that way. And I've done a good job, but there are moments in time when you take it for granted because you sort of can, right? Until you can't. And we had Ryan Nurse, who's the fool around the world, on this really powerful episode. I recommend you watching it. He went into depression, is a whole different thing, like deep, deep depression. And I said, well, he told us how he got out of it. Gratitude. That's it. Literally nothing else. Just gratitude got him out of I want to kill myself depression, which is, it's crazy to me because I don't know. I don't think of it that way, but it sounds like it was a very powerful thing for you. Talk about your mental health during that? Because, mental health it can be a real bitch on its own. And now you're dealing with mental health and you're dealing with the physical health thing and the uncertainty of it. Like if I break my leg, right, it's going to heal, right? There's some mental stuff that goes along with that. So how was your mental health at that moment? And how did you navigate through both of that together at once?
Yeah, it definitely was challenging. And actually, it's interesting what you just said about breaking your leg, because, a lot of people don't really understand what metastatic breast cancer is. And they just think that breast cancer is curable. And it is curable about 70% of the time. And then about 30% of the time, early stage breast cancers recur as stage 4, or some people like me just get diagnosed stage 4 off the bat. But if I ever have a leg pain or a back pain, immediately I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I pray that the cancer has not come back in my bones. Or one day I have a headache and I'm saying, oh, I hope that I don't have brain, like that it hasn't gone to my brain, like breast cancer in my brain. I never knew that it could spread to all these places years ago, right? So you have to learn to live with this massive level of uncertainty, right? Like life and death. And I think because of that, it just forces you to have a really clear lens on what is important and how you want to spend your time.
Yeah, I find, and this is a little bit off topic, but when you see, I went to a concert, and I have a concert buddy, Corey, and he's usually in the comments saying hi, but he was dealt a bad hand. He's nonverbal. He's in a wheelchair, and he's every time I see him, it's like the happiest person I've ever met, and everything's the greatest thing ever. And it's just that type of attitude. It speaks to what you're talking about with the gratitude, and
yes,
because you don't know, like you almost sometimes some people don't know any better, right? They don't know what it else looks like, and then some people you don't have a choice. We're alive today. We have two choices, right? We can be happy and we can go after it, or we can kind of wallow. And then some people don't have the capacity because there's a mental thing and it's preventing them. I get that part, but the average person walking around has a choice on what their day looks like to the point where we can control it.
Right. And I think that it's important at night to think about what did you get to do that day? Because that's a way to find gratitude. People sometimes need tools or have trouble being able to find gratitude when they're dealt a bad hand. But it's when you can really figure out what you are grateful for that can bring you happiness. Because if you're living in line with your values, then you're going to be happy.
But how do you navigate the gratitude towards and also the reality? Because there's some gratitude and I don't know if it's attitude, but it's like not everything is sunshine and puppy dogs. It's okay to be down and to be upset and all of that. All of that is part of life, whether you have to deal with what you're dealing with or anything really. So how do you balance between not walking around kind of naive about what's going on?
Well, I think that it's okay to certainly, if you need to cry, you're going to have many times that you're upset, and that you might be, I might be mad that this happened, or just still think, how is this even possible? Like my 2 young daughters out of the blue. But so it's sort of like you mourn for the life that you thought you might have, but at the same time, you allow yourself to have those feelings, but you have to then push past it. And that's the hard part for people. You have to push past it by finding the light that's going to motivate you to push past it. What are you going to be able to enjoy today or this week if you don't let cancer get the best of you, right? If you say, I'm going to control my day, and today I'm going to pick my daughter up from the bus, and today I'm going to play miniature golf with her, whatever it is, and focus on those little joys.
Yeah.
I still have goals, but perhaps my goals are more, what am I going to do this month and this year versus thinking
Right, long
less
term.
about retirement,
Right. What is there anything you can't do now that you could have done because of everything you were going through?
So I already was immunocompromised because of the medications. So when you have stage 4, there's no real remission in the sense that you always have to be on treatment for your rest of your life. And we hope that the treatment works long enough to keep their cancer stable or dormant. So because of that, I do have a lowered immune system and have to work on that. But for the most part, yeah, I'm able to do everything. Like you said, I think it's more of an emotional battle, having to know the statistics that exist, that less than 10% make it 10 years. But then again, I was told an average of 2 to 3 years when I got the diagnosis, and now it's been 6 years and I'm still doing well. So I didn't coin the term attitude of gratitude, but I do think that it's helpful to do your best to think that way. And certainly if you can think of the things that you got to do any given day before you go to bed, I know that it helps me have a better night's sleep when I fill myself with that positivity before I go to bed.
Oh, that's great. You've done some great things from the point when you were diagnosed till today, and we're going to talk about where that got you to the Eagle method. But just from the sense of you've become a champion for education, for also helping to raise money, right? So how did you get motivated to do that, inspired to do that? Who helped you? What were some of the resources that you used to help yourself? Because not everyone does it. Some people get cancer and they just kind of, fighting off the cancer and all of that, it's enough on their plate. So to be able to do what you're doing, where you're championing for it and speaking out, you've been on TV and now, you do some motivational speaking, all related to obviously what you're going to do. But how did you get there? How did you get inspired to? What were the resources that were helpful to you so other people maybe in the same situation might be inspired themselves?
Well, I think that there isn't really any good reason why anyone should, get cancer or be living with stage 4 cancer. So I felt that I had to give meaning to it, right? Because I couldn't come up with any rationale for why I should get this. And in order to give my diagnosis purpose, I find it helpful to educate, share my story, and inspire and help others because it gives meaning to living with metastatic breast cancer. And I also did not know much about the disease before I was diagnosed. Like I said, when they told me metastatic breast cancer, I even said, what does that mean? And because of that, I realized how many people don't really understand the disease. And as I looked into clinical trials and unfortunately had many friends through the years pass away of this disease, I've learned a lot more about the percentage of dollars that goes to research. And unfortunately, only 5% of breast cancer research dollars are allocated to metastatic breast cancer research. So, even though 30% of early stage has a recurrence to stage 4, and the only kind of breast cancer that kills is stage 4, there's definitely not enough funding going towards stage 4 research. And some organizations might say, well, we fund prevention of metastatic disease, which is important, but for the people living with it, we need funding for treatment of metastatic disease. We want it to be like MS or AIDS or diabetes, where it could become a chronic illness, and research to help people have a better quality of life and live longer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and part of, to your point, we have mutual family friends who have had it and gotten past it. My wife has a friend who has it, and knock on wood, doing okay right now, but she has a friend who passed away in her 20s from breast cancer. So I think educating people to understand that in this day and age, it still can be much worse than maybe the experience that you've heard someone who had it and survived from it.
Right. So if you die of breast cancer, it means that you died of metastatic breast cancer. And typically it will spread to the lungs and the bones, liver, and the brain as the most common places. So I decided to get involved with a campaign called Light Up MBC. I'm really passionate about. And it's a landmark campaign where over 115 landmarks in every single state in the United States light up in the metastatic breast cancer colors of pink, teal, and green on the night of October 13th.
Okay.
And it really helps shine a light, bring awareness, and raise funding for metastatic breast cancer. And it culminates with a show that I co-host on Metavivor's Facebook page and YouTube channel and website the evening of October 13th. And we Zoom in people from cities all around the country who are affected by MBC, who share their inspiring stories to help raise awareness and funding.
And so you'll be doing that again this October?
We are, yes, October 13th at 8:30.
How can people get involved with that?
Yeah, there's a group. If you want to volunteer, it's called Light Up MBC. It's hashtag Light Up MBC Ambassadors on Facebook. And you could request to join if you want to volunteer. Or if you just want to learn about the campaign, you can go to metavivor.org/lightupmbc. And you'll see all the participating landmarks. There's 115 people that die every single day of metastatic breast cancer. Imagine like a plane falling out of the sky every single day. And we're always like, where's the outrage? 115 people every day. So that's why we always get 115 landmarks or more to light up, to really drive home that message. And last year we were able to raise over $100,000 and fund a full research grant, which was really great.
Yeah, that's good. Is it like most things that they're going to focus on the stuff that can be cured and instead of not? Is that an attitude in the research and funding world?
Yes, a lot of people, they want percentages to go towards, a vaccine for cancer, a vaccine for breast cancer. And when you think about stage 4, and right now it's incurable, it's harder sometimes for the researchers and the research to make as quickly progress as quickly as you would in the early stage setting. So sometimes the researchers may want more gratification sooner.
With all this stuff that is able to be done, that you're amazed. I mean, just like, it's not even just medicine, it's technology and all this. I would think that some of this stuff would be able, that would have found some stuff, especially with the billions of dollars that are being pumped into it. Is money the best thing that people can do to support it? What do they need to try and, I guess part of it is going to be to try and enhance the quality of life for those who are with it, right?
Yeah, part of it's that, but I would say yes. The dollars are really important because pharmaceutical companies will typically get involved once scientific theories are already proven. So then they'll start to get involved when it can, really go into the clinical setting. But there's a lot of scientists with great ideas about metastatic breast cancer, and those ideas need to be funded because there always needs to be a pipeline. I feel really blessed that 3 months before my diagnosis, this medication was approved by the FDA. And that's really why I'm alive today. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate. Just 3 months earlier, this wouldn't have even been an approved treatment. So I just know that creating a really robust pipeline is the way that we're going to get more treatments available so that we can raise our children and spend more time with our families. And so that's what Metavivor does. 100% of the donations to Metavivor fund metastatic breast cancer research for the already metastasized patient. So it's not early stage, it's not prevention of, it's very specific to stage 4.
That's metavivor.com?
Metavivor.org. Yeah, and the website for Light Up MBC is metavivor.org//lightupmbc. And if anyone wants to, you can find the donation link there, or if anyone wants to donate, you can just go to donate.metavivor.org//lightupmbc. Oh, there you go. There.
Yeah. How'd you get involved with it?
But it's at MBC, not NBC.
At NBC?
No, like at the end, light up. It's metastatic breast cancer.
Ah, I thought you guys were involved with the network, and that's why you had all that.
Yeah, light up MBC. So I'm glad you put it on the screen. Yeah, so that's people don't really know. Metastatic breast cancer sounds so long, so we just stick with the M and the B and the C.
No, I get it. How'd you connect with them, Metavivor?
Oh, there's just not that many organizations there that give all of their research dollars to funding stage 4 breast cancer research. I mean, they're basically the main one that does that. There are other organizations that maybe give a portion of their dollars to stage 4 research, but Metavivor gives 100%. So it's pretty well known in the metastatic community. Let's see. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Matt. All the information on the campaign right there.
I'm the host and the producer and the director and all that. So we're a no frills show here, but we like it that way.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Speaking of shows and media, you've gotten some attention from the media. Tell us a little bit about what you've been able to do, and that's helped with the education.
Yes. Well, last year for Light Up NBC, I was able to be on New York 1 and Fox 5 and News 12 in October, talking about metastatic breast cancer, really trying to educate people, because I think education and awareness will lead to funding. So can't do the cart before the horse. And so really trying to make sure that people understand what it's like to live with stage 4. I actually have scans coming up this week. I mean, every 4 months, you're in the machines. So as much as you may try to forget about it on a day-to-day basis, it's not really something that's possible to do. And especially when you're in the scanning machines, getting a PET scan and a CAT scan and blood work. But I use this term faith over fear, and try to always keep your faith stronger than your fear. And I think that's the same thing at night when you have a lot of thoughts going on in your head. You have to somehow weight the more positive thoughts, like push them up higher, that mountain, and those negative thoughts lower, so that you can go to bed really feeling that gratitude and positivity.
What gives you the gratitude? Is that part of the Eagle method that we're not going to share? But is there like a couple of things that you just think about personally? Not because everyone's going to be different. Just you personally, like for me, it's music and gators and family and all of that. Is there something that is like a go-to thought for you?
I mean, automatically, I always think of my children and just, really wanting to be there for the milestones in their lives. One of my daughters loves to sing, and, just being able to hear her sing and see her progress through that. And my other daughter loves to dance. So I think my children are a huge inspiration. And, also just the fundraising, I'm really passionate about it, because I hope that it will help future generations. And I hope that my children will never have to hear those words, you have metastatic breast cancer. Not only mine, but, all the children out there. So that's really why I do what I do.
How much do they know about what's going on?
Somewhat. They know that I'm a breast cancer survivor. They really know more about the early stage aspect. So we talk about it a little bit, but they're still very young. So not too much in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
That change, like, because at some point they have to know what possibilities are, or is that just?
Yeah, I'm sure it will change, as they get older, but since it's invisible right now, I
Right.
choose to really focus on, educating the public and really protecting them as much as I can.
That's another good point that I want to hit on. Invisible, right? Because there's millions of people out there walking around with, again, whether it's mental health or cancer or something tragic that just happened or just anything. We just never know what's going on with someone. So it's just more of a reason to have a little bit more patience and compassion for someone and not just kind of rip on them, because I sit here talking to you, and it's, if you didn't tell me, no one would know anything, right?
Exactly, right. No one knows if
All day,
you're like at the hospital all day on Friday. Right. A lot of things are invisible. And that's definitely one thing that, having the illness teaches you. And I think that, one of the reasons, and we can talk about it a little bit, but why I developed this new business, the Eagle Method, is because I've had to adapt to change. I've had to embrace uncertainty so that each day can be meaningful. And back to your point, what's the inspiration? I mean, it is like, how can I make each day meaningful? How can I live with purpose? Because that's what's so fulfilling. And I want to share these techniques and these insights with other people. And that's really why I developed this 5-step framework to really owning your attitude and improving your priorities so that you can successfully adapt to change and overcome, challenges in your life.
All right, so let's give everyone a little bit of a teaser on the Eagle Method.
Yeah.
We know it's 5 things.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the framework of it? What does it consist of? And who is it good for?
Yeah. Well, it's good for anybody who wants to learn to manage change better and wants to be able to embrace uncertainty so that they can move forward, so that they can be productive and feel that they can connect in many different aspects of their life with themselves and be able to grow their relationships with other people in a productive way. So in terms of the Eagle Method, it is an acronym. And if you go on my website, you can see a little bit more about it. But E is about examining your perspective. A is affirming positivity daily. G is about growing relationships. L is about living with purpose. And E is embracing uncertainty. So I have different insights in each area, and I am excited to, delve much deeper in those 5 areas with teams so that they can not only survive, but learn to thrive.
Yeah, the next question is this a one-on-one thing? Is it a group thing, like a corporate thing? What do you think will be the core?
Well, you know what, Matt? I mean, none of us could have ever predicted the amount of change and as quickly change would happen over the past year, certainly because none of us really ever lived through a pandemic. And I remember when I worked at some of the magazine brands that I worked at, we would have speakers come in, but there wasn't really like a lasting resonating point with it. So this is mainly, I think, for corporations, associations, because I think that it's really a story of resilience and it resonates at every level of an organization. As one person said to me, Tami, you come in and you share these points and you not only tell your journey, but you tell the story of life. And I thought that was very complimentary because they walked away really feeling like they had tools that they would use to connect more with their inner self and be able to be more productive and happy in their own lives. And that in turn gives meaning to my diagnosis.
So it's not like multi-day workshop type thing or coaching. It's more, I'm coming in to talk to you about this is how you can do this.
Right. Yeah. It's more to all employees or a keynote speaker at a conference, and really inspiring people to overcome the obstacles that they may face and giving them the tools that they need to do that from an authentic perspective. Like, for example, I heard someone speaking about that she gives speeches on the top 9 companies and what they did to survive through uncertainty over the last 100 years. And I thought to myself, well, it's interesting that she's doing that, because even though she curated the content, you can just Google what these companies did to survive. It's very factual. Whereas I'm living with this level of uncertainty every day. So my insights are more from an organic, authentic perspective.
I've talked about this before. That's, the difference between a motivational speaker and someone who is going to leave a lasting change on someone and an impact and motivate or inspire or even just let them feel, whatever emotion it is that gets them. At my previous job, they'd have someone come in, and sometimes they had a motivational speaker. But the ones that truly stuck with me were Melissa Stockwell, who is a paraleague in the Paralympics. She actually just went in there, lost her leg in the Army, some form of the military. The greatest one is John O'Leary. I don't know if you know him, but I'll send you his stuff. You should definitely watch it. His story, Jack and the Kid. I'll send it to you. I posted about it before. And then Frank Abagnale, the Catch Me If You Can guy.
Okay.
And just being up there talking about their story, saying, look, I lived through this. Because anyone can go up there and be like, you got to be rah, 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 and you got to do this and that. And it jacks some people up, right? But those people are like, it's a canned thing where they're saying, and I want you, LexisNexis Risk Sales Team. And then tomorrow they're like, and you guys, Apple this, and the next day is, and I mean, they just insert that little piece of it. And it's all stuff that you could find anywhere. And that's not to say that I can't go on and find a cancer survivor story who's saying something meaningful, but to have you up there and to talk about your story and to be able to answer questions and say, hey, this is how I did it. Because
right. Well, I always
get into this and they'll be like, look, I know people who've got it and they're older and they get it and they're just like, I don't want to fight this. We're just going to do this and and it is what it is. And we don't judge anyone for what they do, but those are you who want. It's someone like you can get up there and stand and talk about it and maybe give some advice and some guidelines and a method, right? That's what it is. Method on
it is. And it's, I always leave time for Q&A, as well. But there's a lot of people that are on a cancer journey. But there's not everybody has the 20 years of sales and media background, where I also know what it's like to work under pressure in a sales environment and have to deliver. So I try to make sure that all of my tips can help people not only in their personal lives, but very specifically in their professional lives as a way to have purpose at work and increase productivity.
So the Eagle method, and again, it's for anyone who wants to do the change, but initially it's in your eyes maybe more effective for those to do it for their work.
I mean, you could do it either ways, but at most corporations, I think at the core of it is, when people feel good about themselves, like when they're amped up, they're going to perform better in the office setting as well, because we have to see everyone from a 360 degrees. So when I talk about each of these 5 steps of the framework to really amplify confidence, it will help people in their personal and their professional life. I guess that's what I'm saying. It can be applied to both. And I make sure that when I discuss it in the business settings, that there are applicable tools for what they can do at work.
I think there's so much stuff out there that's transferable and applicable. I read He's Just Not That Into You.
Yeah.
And to me, you could have just flipped it from a man to a woman, and you could have, you could have used that a little bit in stuff that's outside of just relationships. So, look, good advice is good advice, and a lot of it is, I don't want to say common sense, but it's you're going to think of it, you're going to hear it, and you're going to be like, well, that makes sense. Why aren't I already doing this?
Right. Right. Sometimes you just, you have to be reminded, if you will. And I think going back to what you started out the conversation about was that, when your father passed away, it's like these things, you never think it could happen to you. And I certainly thought that. I was, 41, healthy, second mammogram of my life comes out to be this crazy diagnosis. I never thought it could happen to me. And people shouldn't wait to take charge of their lives and to find their happiness and know what their goals are and what their values are. You shouldn't wait for something like this to happen. And you hear that all the time, but what's going to actually get people to do it, to take action? And hopefully my method will.
Yeah, because it could be your work. It could be your relationship. It could be, where you're living, and any of those things. A lot of them can be changed. Some of the stuff you have no control of. You can't change anything. And now we have to learn how to deal with that stuff.
Well, we have to live in line with our values. So you have to know what your values are. And, not everyone, I think gratitude is super important, but maybe that's not maybe that's not someone else's value. Someone might have a value that they want everything in their house to be the nicest decor, and that's a value they want to live by, and they get purpose out of that. And that's fine for them as long as you're living in line with your values. Right.
You've done a little bit of motivational speaking before at events?
I have. Yeah. I've worked with just some of the pharmaceutical companies in general over the last couple of years. And I've gotten to speak to different groups, so whether it be lawyers, accountants, marketing, oncology, and that has all helped me shape the content in the Eagle Method.
And how has that helped you by going to speak? Because obviously you're there to help people, but I assume there's got to be something that has made it valuable for you.
It does. It's definitely a form of therapy for me. A lot of people, when they see their therapist, one of the main things that they do is talk. It feels good to share. And this is my way of sharing. So it does feel cathartic in that sense to share to a wider audience and help people learn about the disease, what they can do, how they can care for people affected by it, and how they can help make a difference.
Does it ever get tough to talk about this stuff? I mean, I've had stuff that's not anywhere near as bad, but I find once I've already said it, I've said it on the air, I've blasted it to Facebook. It's like, all right, it's like second nature to talk about it. It's not. And in fact, I enjoy talking about it because I think if one person who didn't know anything about me, it can help them. Sometimes that could be the thing that says, oh, I can do this, instead of having it be something tragic, right? That's really keeping the conversation moving forward. We talk about that all the time with mental health.
Yes.
You don't have to have a diagnosis to be able to, have a light bulb go up and say, I need to do this.
Right. I just think it's good to talk about, and I'm happy to do it if it can help others.
Yeah. What do you have a bucket list? I'll ask you a few bucket list questions. I always like to ask bucket list. Do you have a bucket list organization that you would like to speak to in front of, that you would like them to bring you in? Do you think about that?
Well, I think any associations, I don't really have like specifics in mind, because one of the things that I've been pleasantly surprised about is just how my story resonates among all different groups of people. It's not just oncology or marketing, right? It was like groups of lawyers or accountants. So I think really anyone that's looking to invigorate their team with a renewed sense of purpose. Okay. Because when they have that, they'll be happier within and perform better as well.
Well, there's nothing off the top of my head. Say, I'd love to talk to Google, or I'd love to talk to Vogue.
Oh, sure. Well, I already spoke to Vogue. So I actually did a webinar with Vogue and Vanity Fair and GQ last week, and that webinar went really well. I have another keynote coming up next month that I'm excited about. And it can be virtual, it can be in person, whether it's a beauty company or an automotive company, really any human resource departments that are looking to inspire their teams.
I mean, it happens all the time. Like I said, LexisNexis every year has sales meetings, and they bring people. I imagine every company who does that tries to bring someone on who's going to inspire and help their workers perform better. But key to that is feeling better, thinking more positively, and that kind of goes in.
Right. It's like the ripple effect. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
What's on your bucket list of things to do in general? I assume that's something that you've thought about.
Yes, I have. I mean, when this happened, I thought, oh, do I want to go to France? Do I want to do this? What else do I need to do before I die? You have this 3 years. And I just realized I just really wanted to spend time with my family. I mean, I didn't really have to do anything or go anywhere. It was really just about the little moments. And I do try to focus on the present. My daughter is at sleepaway camp for 4 weeks. And when she comes home, we decided we were going to make a summer bucket list, right? Like things that we want to do this summer. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, fun things that we're going to do in August. Whether it's, go rock climbing or, a day at the beach or whatever it is, to make sure that we are creating a lot of fun memories. And I do try to always get in the videos, and I encourage everyone to do the same, because, as we get older and our children look back on the videos, they're not just going to want to see themselves walking around, dancing. It will be nice for them to see their parents with them in the video. So even though I started doing mine just because I wanted them to remember me, now I do it, and I suggest it to everyone because I know that any child would want to see their parents in the video with them.
Yeah, I have videos from my nieces and nephews, and my dad would walk around with that camcorder. It's a lot easier to do now than it was. Have you knocked anything off a bucket list from in the 6 years that you said I need to do this? Is there something that sticks out?
Well, I mean, I just love something that I want to do or that I did.
That you've done.
Oh, that I've done. Well, I just love to travel, and I went to Oregon with my husband. Yeah. And I thought, wow, I can't believe I've never been to Oregon before, because it was so gorgeous and has wine country and the beach and the mountains. So I highly recommend people putting that on their bucket list or their next vacation list. And then just, for me, I didn't know if I would see my daughters start kindergarten, and not only did I see my daughter start kindergarten, but she graduated 4th grade last year. And now she's in middle school, and my younger one is in 2nd grade. And, those milestone graduations were on my bucket list, and I'm here. And now one of the most important ones is to be able to see them graduate 8th grade, graduate high school. And, I'll get teary-eyed, God willing, walk down their aisles at their wedding.
Yeah. And everything's a milestone, right? But we don't look at it that way. Like, I don't look at it that way, but we should celebrate a lot more of the little things that are,
yes.
So my friend gets, you might even know him, I won't mention his name, but he gets all mad when he sees all the school posts and all this. I'm like, look, we got to celebrate the little wins and the stuff, because it's all an accomplishment now. It's all subjective to be like how big of a deal it is, right? Not as big a deal to someone else as it might be to you.
Right.
And you might be there getting all nuts about it, and someone's like, well, what's wrong with her? And they don't, again, they don't understand.
I was crying at the soccer field when I was there for my daughter's first game. And people probably looked at me like, oh, like, why is she crying? They're winning, But, I was just so happy to be able to be there on the field, even though it was 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think about a lot of my friends who are not able to be there because they only lived with the disease 2 years. So, you know, for them and their families and their children who are growing up without moms, you know, that only continues to motivate me to fight harder, to fight more, and to try to raise these funds for research so that this can be a chronic disease instead of a deadly one.
Yeah, you mentioned a good, when I asked you about the bucket list, your answer about the family, I'm sure you could come up with stuff, right? But I know with all the stuff that you've done in the travel and the way we grew up, DMX, the rapper who died earlier this year, he actually he was on a radio show maybe a few months early in January, and he said something about, if I die tomorrow, I will have lived a life that I was really proud about and fulfilled and all of that. And, you know, that's kind of speaking to what your comment is about that. And I feel the same way. Look, there's a million things I'd love to do, but at the end of the day, you try and be like, hey, if it's all over tomorrow, how did I feel about the impact I made on the community? How did I feel about the way my family members feel about me? And so, you know, it's something that I strive to do. And I've tried to make it more of an important thing, but I still got a lot of stuff. I'm still very selfish about my time. And so there is limits to what I'll do. And that's why I bring on people like you, because I can, you're going to talk about what you do and elevate the people who do that, because someone's going to be listening to this and is going to go to that website and say, I want to get more involved. And that's what we want to do. You know, what we want to do with this. For me, the biggest thing, I was very close to my dad, and you know, he didn't get to see me get married. He didn't get to see me, you know, starting my own business, which is a big thing. He didn't get to see any of my brother's wife was pregnant when he passed, so he didn't get to see that. I mean, these are little things, but it's just, you know, the bonds that you have with people as you move on, and you realize, you know, it's a tough thing to deal with, but you need a big circle. I know your family's very good for you. How has your circle expanded with the more visibility you get?
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, my dad always said, if you have, you know, one true friend, then you have more than most. Like that, you know, that's all you really need. So, you know, I feel that's one of the things I have gratitude for. I feel like I have several very, very good friends, and certainly a very, very close-knit family. And my hashtag actually on my logo, people can see it on the website, but the hashtag is Make Each Day Meaningful. And that's really what the method is about, like how to find, like you were saying, fulfillment in your life by making each day meaningful. So my circle, I mean, yeah, has it grown? I think it's grown in terms of having now a community of people living with metastatic breast cancer, which is an incredible, incredible community of people. And I'll tell you why. You know, I went to Washington. That's one of the things I also do is I lobby for better laws for people living with this disease, lobby in Washington. And I've never met a fiercer group of people, because you've got, you know, 100 people living with MBC who literally are fighting for their lives. You know, it's not like, you know, some other things where it's not about life and death. They know they're there, whether it's a family member, a sister, or brother, like they need to get these laws passed, and they need to get these funds raised, because this is a matter of life.
And it's not like a pancreatic cancer like my dad and like Alex Trebek had, where they know look, you might be able to extend it, but that's it. You can't get past there. Where this has been proven, hey, we can live 6 years, we can live 10 years. So
yeah,
we need to, you know, they're fighting.
I'm actually happy to say that a cousin of mine was recently diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and they did an amazing surgery that not everyone is eligible for, but he was eligible, and he's doing phenomenally well. And so even with
Gotta
that,
catch it very early, very, very early. Like,
yeah, even with that type, there's much more hope than there ever was. And that's the thing. We need to find hope. We need to be, filled with hope and find things that are going to give us that. And for me, knowing that funding is happening and that research is creating a full pipeline is something that provides a lot of hope for what's possible in the future.
can they cure cancer in our generation?
Cure, I would say no, but potentially live with, I believe, yes. Make a chronic illness, have people live longer with better quality lives would be a wonderful advancement. At this point, yeah, I'd love for there to be a cure. But more importantly, I just, I want to live. I want to be here for all those milestone moments.
And while you're living, have a better quality of life and not have to be able to focus on the things that are important, not just the things that you need to do to keep yourself alive.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let you out of here on the same question we let everyone go. I don't know how this is going to go, but we'll try it. We ask our guests to pick one person that they can meet and spend a day with. And it could be anyone in the world, as long as they're living and you're not related to them. And we're going to try and make it happen for someone. We've had a lot of interesting answers. We've had Putin involved, which I don't think I'll be able to make happen, but some that I think maybe I've done some outreach already to try and make it happen. We put it on the list. Give us someone who you would love to meet and spend some time with, and what you would do with them. And I'm going to try and make it happen.
Okay. Well, I would love to meet Ellen DeGeneres.
Okay.
And that is because my daughter loves watching her show when she puts kids on. And my daughter has always said she wants to be on the Ellen show and she wants to sing for her.
Okay.
So that would bring me so much joy to see my daughter experience that kind of moment. And that's why I'd like to meet her.
I got to tell you, you're in the top half of names that I think I can make happen. Now, it won't be easy, but I'm just saying, I think she's a lot more accessible than Barack Obama and Donald Trump and
So I would say
that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm working on Sheryl Crow for Light Up NBC Live, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, Sheryl Crow's great too. I've seen her perform a bunch of times, and I know she gets very involved. Well, look, I know we tried to get it. Now we got you on here. I'm glad we were able to fill you in. All the information's on the bottom. You can connect with her at the Eagle Method. Subscribe to her tips. Check out metavivor.org for more information on that. But Tami can get you some more. LinkedIn. The Eagle Method is on LinkedIn also. Connect with her everywhere. What else would you like to tell people who are watching? How they can help, or just some last thoughts?
Just, you know what? I hope you've had a nugget that you've taken away from today, and that you try to make each day meaningful.
All right. Well, I think we've accomplished that today so far in my eyes. And tomorrow's a new day, but appreciate you coming on here, and look forward to seeing how the Eagle Method goes for you, and happy to help any time along the way.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Matt.
Yeah, we got some great guests the rest of this week. So we're on every day. Tune in. Until then, have a great day. Oh, your sister. We got her in. I didn't see that. That's Tami's sister, who was in my grade. Tami was my sister. So great to see the family. So I'm glad I saw that comment up there. Usually I have it up, but thanks for watching, Allie. And have a great day.